See, I have to put on phantom power on the microphone because
Oh, there we go. Now I can hear you.
yeah, that's because of the hey, long time no see.
Oh, hey, Joe.
Hey, how's it going?
Good.
So yeah, no, I got phantom power, so I gotta push extra buttons to get the sound to work. Okay, because I got high end recording equipment in here.
You have that.
Yeah, well, I mean, I am a
Morning, Joe.
musician. Morning. Right? I think people forget I'm actually a musician, so anyway, let's go on to some. Nobody wants to. Nobody cares unless whatever. Nobody seems to care about the music stuff for some reason. It's the weirdest thing. Um. Anyway, what are we doing today? Oh, I want to show you guys. Let's talk about this Terry v. Ohio case. Okay, I pulled it up, and there's a couple other cases that go along with it. So we're gonna go over some juicy stuff. Let's find out if the cops are actually violating our rights or not. Every stop we make. Every stop they make against us. All right, so this is Terry v. Ohio, right? Argued December 12th, 1967, decided June 10th, 1968. Primary holding. Under the Fourth Amendment of the U.S. Constitution, a police officer may stop a suspect on the street and frisk him or her without probable cause to arrest if the probable has a reasonable suspicion that the person has committed, is committing, or is about to commit a crime and has a reasonable belief that the person may be armed and presently dangerous. So the primary holding already stipulates the fact that your Second Amendment right makes you guilty of a crime and we could bypass your Fourth Amendment right. That's the primary holding here. This is a trashy case from the get-go. Okay. All right. So a Cleveland detective, McFadden, so McFadden is the detective, right? On a downtown beat in which he had been patrolling for many years, observed two strangers, petitioner and another man, Chilton, on a street corner. He saw them proceed alternately back and forth along an identical route, pausing to stare in the same store window, which they did for a total of 24 times. Each completion of the route was followed by a conference between the two on a corner, at one of which they were joined by a third man who left swiftly. Suspecting the two men of casing a job, a stick up, the officer followed them and saw them rejoin the third man a couple of blocks away in front of a store. The officer approached the three, identified him as a policeman, and asked their names. The men mumbling something, right? Whereupon McFadden spun petitioner around, patted down his outside clothing, and found in his overcoat pocket, but was unable to remove a pistol. The officer ordered the three into the store. He removed petitioner's coat, took out a revolver, and ordered the three to face the wall with their hands raised. He patted down the outer clothing of Chilton and Katz and seized a revolver from Chilton's outside overcoat pocket. He did not put the hands under the outer garments of Katz, since he discovered nothing in his pat down, which may have been a weapon, or under petitioner or Chilton's outer garment until he felt the guns. The three were taken to the police station. Petitioner and Chilton were charged with carrying concealed weapons. The defense moved to suppress the weapons. Through the trial court rejected the prosecution's theory that the guns had been seized during a search incident to a lawful arrest. The court denied the motion to suppress and admitted the weapons into evidence on the ground that the officer had cause to believe that petitioner and Chilton were acting suspiciously, that their interrogation was warranted, and the officer, for his own protection, had the right to pat down the outer clothing, having reasonable cause to believe they might be armed. The court distinguished between investigatory stop and an arrest, and between a frisk and the outer clothing for weapons and a full-blown search of evidence. I have to mute him. Full-blown search of evidence for crime. Petitioner and Chilton were found guilty. An intermediate appellate court affirmed, and the state Supreme Court dismissed the appeal on the ground that no substantial constitutional question was involved. Every time someone unmutes and starts talking, I will mute you. So just pay attention to your mute buttons, people. All right. The Fourth Amendment, right against unreasonable searches and seizures, made applicable to the states by the 14th Amendment, protects people, not places, and therefore applies as much to citizens on the street as well as at home or elsewhere. So this is what was held. And this is exactly the opposite of how the police utilized Terry v. Ohio, right? The issue in this case is not the abstract propriety of the police conduct, but the admissibility against petitioner of the evidence uncovered by the search and seizure. The exclusionary rule cannot properly be invoked to exclude the products of legitimate and restrained police investigation techniques, and this court approval of such techniques should not discourage remedies other than exclusatory rule to curtail police abuses for which that is not an effective sanction. See what they're doing? Look what it says. The rule, this is the exclusion to the Fourth Amendment, cannot properly be invoked to exclude the products of legitimate and restrained police investigation. And this court's approval of such techniques should not discourage remedies other than exclusionary rules to curtail police abuses. The Fourth Amendment applies to stop and frisk procedures such as followed here. Whenever a police officer accosts an individual and restrains his freedom to walk away, he has seized that person within the meaning of the Fourth Amendment. Whenever. Traffic stops, everything. A careful exploration of the outer surfaces of a person's clothing in an attempt to find weapons is a search under that amendment. Right? So I'm going to say this right here. Everyone should have freaking cameras in their car. Right? You should have cameras showing the front, the back, inside the car, because if your dashboard should be recorded. So that way, if they say you were speeding or this, you have all that evidence, right? Saying that you're not speeding, right? Or if they said you did this or you did these things, right? So because whenever a police officer accosts an individual and restrains his freedom to walk away, he has seized that person within the meaning of the Fourth Amendment. So that's a key thing, because what they're saying here is that seizure has to be warranted, right? There has to be a warrant, or by this case, they bypass the warrant by saying, we think you just committed a crime. So you have to have your evidence, all right? A careful exploration of the outer surfaces of a person's clothing in an attempt to find weapons is a search under that amendment. Whereas a reasonably prudent officer is warranted in the circumstances of a given case in believing that his safety or that of others is endangered, he may make a reasonable search for weapons of the person believed by him to be armed and dangerous. And this is another thing that the cops use. Officer safety. What about others? What about other people's safety? Because they like to escalate it with officer safety. That's one of the problems, right? And they say that he can do this regardless of whether he has probable cause to arrest the individual for crime or the absolute certainty that the individual is armed. Now, this is where we got real problems. See, this ruling right here is one of the things that's making, this is why people die at the hands of cops, okay, is because of this ruling. This ruling right here is what's killing people, and cops are getting away with it. Well, we did it for officer safety, right? We told him to take his hands out of his pockets, and then he did. We thought he was armed, so we shot him, right? This happens all the damn time. All right. Though the police must, whenever practicable, secure a warrant to make a search and seizure, that procedure cannot be followed where swift action based upon the on-spot observations of the officer or the beat is required. So I think they stretched it out in this case, because he's like, I think these guys are up to no good. Never was determined if they really were or not, right? Carrying a gun is not illegal. It's not a crime at all. I don't care what the state statutes say. It's not a crime. Okay, carrying a gun is totally 100% legal in the United States of America, all 50 states. Anyone who argues otherwise should just go to Canada or something. Get the hell out of here. You shouldn't be here. Anyone who says, "Oh, guns are bad, we should ban them," get the fuck out of here. This is not your country. Then this is the wrong country for you. Get out, leave. Okay, because really, the whole purpose of that Second Amendment was to stand up against tyranny. That's the whole purpose of the Second Amendment, to protect your rights. Okay? And anyone who's like, oh, maybe we should get rid of guns. Well, maybe we should get rid of you. That's it. We just get rid of your ass. Just send them out to Europe. If there's no guns over there, go over there. Enjoy. Bye. right? I mean, there's guns over there, but not that many. Go to England. Good luck. There's no guns there. Look how they're doing. They can't even say certain words out in public anymore. All right. But this is the problem, right? Now, and not to say that maybe this cop was wrong. Maybe he was right. But the problem becomes more so the fact that police will utilize this little provision in this case to make everything they do valid, even when it's not. So this needs to be amended, changed, or this just needs to be taken down. We gotta overturn this case, because this case is giving the cops broad powers, right, to do a lot of harm to a lot of people, and you see cops saying, we need more qualified immunity, dude. You don't need any qualified immunity if you do your job correctly. If you were not on some vindictive agenda where you wanted to go hurt people, then you wouldn't need qualified immunity. There's guys who are out there looking to harm people with badges. They wear badges and they go get these jobs because they want to fuck with people, right? There was the guy who was planting drugs on people for like freaking 10 years, right? And finally got caught. And then when he went to jail for it, but it took like a decade, and literally every single guy that he had arrested for drugs, right? They still wouldn't reverse any of those charges. So all of those people have felony drug charges on their record, and they can't get it removed, even though it was proven that the guy was doing this. So these people have like wrecked records, right? They can't do things like, buy a gun because of some jerk off who decided that he wanted to, advance his career by screwing over the lives of others. The guy's sitting in jail now, rightfully so, but all these people still have messed up felonies on their record, and the courts won't remove them. It's the craziest crap. So anybody who goes, the courts are right, the courts know what they're talking about, this is proof right here that the courts can be total pieces of shit. Okay? And anyone who makes the argument that the court doesn't the court don't recognize those arguments. Yeah, the court also doesn't recognize First Amendment rights. Because when I went into court when I was 18 years old and I said I have freedom of speech, he yelled at me. Made me guilty of crime for talking. Right? Yeah. Anyway, not to get crazy about it. All right. So let's see. The reasonableness of any particular search and seizure must be assessed in light of the particular circumstances against the standard of whether a man of reasonable caution is warranted in believing that action taken was appropriate. So this doesn't mean that they're hiring intelligent people who can actually do this. Okay? They're not doing that. All right, the officer here was performing a legitimate function of investigating suspicious conduct when he decided to approach petitioner's companions. I mean, the way it sounds like those guys were scoping out a place. I'll be real. But were they looking at prices? Like, we don't see anything there. We're just hearing the claim, right? But we don't really know what the place looked like. Maybe it was dark windows and they're like doing this, like trying to see what's inside, right? And maybe they're like, "Ooh, how much is that?" They're trying to look at price. Who knows? But it sounds like they're scoping the place out for a robbery. But an officer justified in believing that an individual with suspicious behavior he is investigating at close range is armed may, to neutralize the threat of physical harm, take necessary measures to determine whether a person is carrying a weapon. Now, see right here, this is the problem. This is another thing that the cops do. Oh, you're suspicious. Now they can search you. You seem suspicious. We can search you now. Right? This right here is how they use suspicion to violate your Fourth Amendment right. A search for weapons in the absence of probable cause to arrest must be strictly prescribed by the exigencies of this situation. I saw one where there was a First Amendment auditor. All he's got in his hand is a camera, and the cop tells him, "Put it down. I don't know if that's a weapon." He's like, "Bro, you can tell it's a freaking camera. Stop it." He goes, "I can't tell." He's like, "It's obviously a camera." And the cop's still insistent that he puts it down because he don't know if it's a weapon or not. Right? I would just look at him. If I was that guy, I would have been like, sir, you need to be flipping burgers at McDonald's or something, because if you can't see that this is a camera, you're not smart enough to engage with me. All right. I'm sorry. I can't have a conversation with a moron like that. Like, you're just too dumb to talk to. I'm sorry. Just, you can't be a cop. You can't be a cop if you can't tell the difference between a gun and a camera. That guy should have been fired that same day. He went up to him and been like, listen, we're just going to fire you because, you couldn't tell that the guy was holding a camera, an obvious camera in his hand. So we're just going to let you go. You're a danger to the city and to the people. An officer may make an intrusion short of arrest where he has reasonable apprehension of danger before being possessed of information justifying arrest. So this is the other thing, like officers inflate their protection and safety over others, right? Protection and safety only applies to them. It doesn't apply to anybody else, right? That's their viewpoint here. That's what they're saying. Like, and you see the cops say, officer safety. What about my safety? No, this is about officer safety, right? I think I'm in danger. Well, I think I'm in danger, right? This is why I don't engage with cops at all. I don't fight with them. I don't do anything. Like, when I get stopped or pulled over, I don't fight with them, right? I don't answer any of their questions, but I don't get hostile with them. They go, oh, where are you headed to? I said, well, I don't answer questions. I said, well, where are you coming from? I don't answer questions. So I can't answer that. And they're like, well, you need to answer our questions. I said, all right, well, I'll take that under advisement when I get my counsel here, then we can have that discussion about that. But until then, I'm going to invoke my right to remain silent and not incriminate myself. Then they say, oh, that only applies when you're arrested. Bullshit! It applies all the time. 100% of the time that applies. Oh, the cop said that to me once. Oh, no, that only applies once you're arrested. I said, no, it doesn't. He's like, yes, it does. Like, no, it applies everywhere. All the time. It's 100% on. That thing is on 100% of the time. Shut up. All my friends were pissed off. I'll tell you the story. I just got out of jail. This is what happened. I'm not kidding. I had just gotten out of jail. This is like 20 years ago. And then what happened was I get in the car, my friend's car, right? I'm sitting shotgun in the front seat. She drives off, right, out of the it was like the state, whatever, I don't know, or county jail, whatever, county jail. We're leaving, and we get stopped by the cops, right? And I'm already pissed off because I was arrested over a bogus warrant, right? That's why I was sitting in jail anyway, for a warrant for not appearing in court, but I never got the summons to appear in court because I didn't live at the address that they mailed it. It was a whole bunch of bullshit. Okay, so I was all pissed off about that. Anyway, the thing was that, so we get pulled over. The cops start talking to her. They go, well, we pulled you over for speeding. And she's like, oh, I didn't realize that the speed limit's only 15 miles an hour on that road. The speed limit was 15 miles an hour on that road that they pulled her over on, right? 50, like, that's not even real. Like, I could go 15 on a bicycle. Like, come on. Like, that was just a, one of those, like, speed traps. That's what that was. But it was right outside the county jail. It was the county jail's road. Oh, you're speeding. Like that, they probably just sit there waiting for people to get released from jail and then pull them over for speeding and get more charges on them. That's probably what they're doing over there. And that's what they tried to do with us. So they pulled us over. I got 3 people sitting in the back seat. I'm sitting in the front. My friend's driving the car. And then the cop stands next to my door and he goes, "What's your name?" I go, "Nope." He's like, no, you need to tell me your name. So I don't have to tell you anything. I said, you're investigating her. I'm not part of your investigation. He's like, I'll tell you what I'm investigating. So you need to give me your name. And then everyone in the back seat's like, Joe, just tell him your name. I'm like, shut up. I don't have to tell him anything. I don't need to talk to him. And he's like, yeah, Joe, you got to tell me your name. I said, I'm not talking to you. So basically they ended up dragging everybody out of the car, searching the whole car, right? They found swords in the trunk of the car, right? Said that was illegal, that you can't do that, but they're going to let us go as long as your friend learns that he needs to answer the cops' questions. And everyone was pissed off at me the rest of the day They're like, oh man, we should just let you stay in jail, dude. Fuck you, you piece of shit. Why couldn't you just answer the questions? I said, I don't need to. You guys need to learn your rights. This is the fucking problem. I was like 24, 25 years old at the time. I'm like, you guys don't know your rights. And you're over here getting mad at me. I don't have to talk to this guy. When the cop pulls somebody over, he's not investigating everyone in the car. He's investigating the driver. The driver is what got him, not me. I don't have to answer anything. Like they're like, well, you just should make life easier. I'm like, you see, this is the problem. Is people like that. I'm not friends with any of those people anymore, by the way. All those people got so pissed off and fed up with me a number of years ago. They called me a loon, a quack, a moron. They called me all kinds of names, and I said, fuck you people. I don't need to be your friends. But that was the thing. See, these people are like so adamant about you just, and you see this on TikTok. Okay, you see this on YouTube. You see this on Facebook. People, oh, just submit, just submit. You know, just do what they say. You know, guys, if you don't have anything to say, make sure you don't touch your mute buttons. Okay, so I'm gonna keep muting people. But so anyway, yeah, suspicion is not a crime. It was right, Zachary. It's just not. It's crazy. Yeah, people give up their rights to make their life easier. Okay, this is what I've been talking about, like the comfort. I experienced that like 20 years ago. I don't know what he's talking about. Are you saying they are targeting 15 years, I guess, prior to his murder? I don't know what he's talking about. Anyway, the officer's protective seizure of petitioner and his companions and the limited search which he made were reasonable both at their reception and as conducted. The actions of petitioner's companions were consistent with the officer's hypothesis that they were contemplating a daylight robbery and were armed. The officer's search was confined to what was minimally necessary to determine whether the men were armed, and the intrusion, which was made for the sole purpose of protecting himself and others nearby, was confined to ascertaining the presence of weapons. So I'm going to point this out, though, is that they said that, you know, all this stuff put together looked like he had a reasonable reason to search them. But the police do not use it this way. They use it on everything. You didn't use a blinker, right? You're walking down the street with your hands in your pocket. And they're not like casing a building for a robbery. You see, but this is what the issue has been. Has been this whole thing where they like what these guys sound like they were doing sounds like they were casing a job. It does sound like that. But the cops don't use it like that. They use it on everything. Dude standing around with a camera, they treat him like as if he's going to rob the place. Oh, you can't film out here. Is this public property? Yep. Yes, I can. Well, officer safety, take your hands out of your pockets. We need to search you. You can't do that. But they do it anyway. The revolver seized from the petitioner was properly admitted into evidence against him since the search which led to his seizure was reasonable under the Fourth Amendment. I doubt the founding fathers would agree. I think they would look at this and go, no, I don't think so. Why don't you just use the real words instead of like doing these abbreviations that nobody knows? It would just make things. 15 is a psycho in place of years old. We just all got a coin. Okay. Yeah, just please don't use abbreviations that nobody knows. Right? The case presents serious questions concerning the role of the Fourth Amendment in the confrontation on the street between the citizen and a policeman investigating suspicious circumstances. So, Terry was convicted of carrying a concealed weapon, sentenced to statutorily prescribed terms of 1 to 3 years in the penitentiary. Pretrial motion to suppress evidence. Right? Yeah, it was the same thing. Right? This is the same crap. I've been a police officer for this many years, detective for this many years, I patrolled for this many years. Right? He developed a routine habit of observation. This is what they do in all traffic court. Whenever you have to go to traffic court and the cop shows up, how long have you been a cop for? They establish the same stuff. I've been a cop for this many years. How many times have you taken to people for this? Oh, this many times. Okay, so you're familiar with that. Yes, I am. Okay, great. Now you've established that the cop knows and is familiar with these things. This is why this is why they don't let me talk to cops in the courtrooms. Okay, now all these people on TikTok who go and say that that none of my shit works in court. Just listen carefully to what I actually do. So what I do is I keep him on my witness list. I bring him up as my witness, and I can ask him any questions. Right? I don't have to cross-examine him only. I can put him on my witness list and then examine him. Right? So it's not even so I can ask him other questions. Right? And say, okay, you took an oath to uphold the state constitution. Is that correct? Yeah. Okay. Can you tell me what Article 1 of the state constitution is? Oh, I don't know offhand. Okay. Let the record reflect that the officer can't uphold his oath if he doesn't understand the first, Article 1, right, of the state constitution. By the way, Article 1 of the state constitution is almost always the Bill of Rights. Okay. It has usually the first 8 or 9 amendments in there. Okay, it's usually in there somewhere. Okay, in the state constitutions. So that's one of the first things I like to do, is because you see this case is teaching you how to address the cop right here. This is what it's teaching you. How do you address the cop in court? He's got the experience, he's got the time, he's got the training, right? He's an expert in this stuff. Well, let's see if he's an expert, right? Put him on your witness list, right? Pull out his oath of office. Did you take this oath? Can you recite the oath by memory? Oh no. Can you cite me 3 state constitutional provisions? I don't know. Okay. All right. And where in the state constitution does the state get its authority from? Well, I don't know. Okay. Let the record reflect that he does not know that. The officer is unfamiliar with the state constitution. He did take an oath to uphold it. So can we say now we can justifiably say that maybe he actually can't uphold this oath, right? If he doesn't know it. Right? If they're under oath, they are foreign agents. It's irrelevant. It doesn't matter if they're foreign agents or not. The court's not going to care. It doesn't pertain to what they're going to do to you unless you win the case, So you can call them foreign, you can call them whatever. Just at the end of the day, it doesn't change anything that the court's going to do. You could say that all day long. Oh, they're foreign agents. And the judge can be like, whatever. You're still guilty. You got to pay a $500 fine. You're going to do 2 weeks in jail. Foreign agents. So, yeah, it doesn't fix anything is what I mean. Like, not to put it down. It could be true, but it doesn't fix anything. So that's the one thing. You take over whatever statute they're talking about. You ask them, like I'll ask the cop. I said, "Well, what statute did you cite that said that I violated?" And he'll go, well, it was this one. All right, can you explain that text to the courtroom?" Sure. This and that. I said, okay. And when was that enacted? Do you know the enacting clause for that? Well, I don't know what that is. All right, let the record reflect that the cop is enforcing a statute that he doesn't know if it was properly enacted or not. Oh, it was. How do you know? Who has the enacting clause attached to that statute? Does anyone have that? They have to go scramble to find it, because otherwise it's considered non-positive law and it only applies internally. Okay? Non-positive law doesn't apply generally, or like positive law does. Right? If you look at like Title IV and stuff like that, that's positive law, right? So that applies to everybody. Okay, there's certain and the same thing in the state codes, state statutes. They just assume, and this is a presumption of law. This is a fiction of law concept, is that they presume that the statutes are positive law. But if you go into the actual acts that were passed from the bills and read them and see what was actually enacted, they may not be written exactly the same. And sometimes, in some cases, it's just not even there. They just inject things into the statute sometimes, and it's not in any act. And that makes it invalid because it was never actually properly invoked by the state legislator to be enacted. And so it's not law at all. And they tried to do this stuff. They tried to play this game with me, and I was pulling this enacting thing. The cop didn't know. The prosecutor's like, that's not relevant. And the judge is like, well, I agree. I don't think that's relevant. And I said, Your Honor, if it's not relevant, if the state legislators passed a law or not, then why are we all here? Man, he wanted the whole thing stricken from the record. We're going to strike all that from the record. They took so that entire argument they wiped from the record, right? Because of the fact that I pointed out that they were trying to play down the enacting clause, right? And that if it was properly enacted, they wanted to get rid of that because I had a good point, and they wouldn't be able to pull it out. And if they couldn't prove it in that day in that case on trial, that was it. They'd have to drop the charges. So he struck it. He struck it from the record. Said we're not talking about it. We're going to strike that from the record. That's out. Done. And it's not in the transcripts. It's nowhere. You can't find it. They actually took it off the record. I was pissed. That was my win. Right? That was how I was going to win that case that way. All right. But this is how you do it. All right. He's been a cop for this long. How long was his training? Is that adequate amount of training? How many days how many hours of study did you do on law and the Constitution and these things? Right? He doesn't, not much. He doesn't really know. All right. So, let's see. Any other good stuff here? We have recently held that the Fourth Amendment protects people, not places, and wherever an individual may harbor a reasonable expectation of privacy, he is entitled to be free from unreasonable government intrusion. Of course, the specific content and incidence of this right must be shaped by the context in which it is asserted. For what the Constitution forbids is not all searches and seizures, but unreasonable searches and seizures. Unquestionably, petitioner was entitled to the protection of the Fourth Amendment as he walked down the street. All right. The question is whether, in all circumstances of this on the street encounter, his right to personal security was violated by an unreasonable search and seizure. And there's your argument. See, they just told you how to argue all these traffic stops. Was this a reasonable search and seizure, or was it unreasonable? And if you could present this, see, it's all about framing. How you frame your argument is how you win. Okay. You see, you got like the buttheads here on TikTok that keep saying that none of this stuff works in court, but all they ever show is like little clips of like judges violating people's rights in the courtroom, but people can't frame their arguments right. This is the problem. Right? This is why you have to read the court cases. And when you read the court cases, you really learn how to frame your argument the right way to invoke your rights. The judge doesn't want you to invoke your rights. He hates that because it loses him money. The state loses money. His job is to make as much money as he can off this case as quick as possible. They have two objectives with every court case. One, to get it done as quick as possible, and two, to make as much money as they can off of it. Right? The third objective, if there's a third objective, is to make sure that everyone submits to the authority of the court and that people stay scared and afraid of their government. All right. Anyway, we would be less than candid if we did not acknowledge that this question thrusts to the four difficult and troublesome issues regarding a sensitive area of police activity. Issues which have never been before squarely presented to this court. See, they even see that this is a problem. See, they recognize it in this case that this could lead to big problems, which it has. Reflective of the tensions involved are the practical and constitutional arguments pressed with great vigor on both sides of the public debate over the power of the police to stop and frisk, as it is sometimes euphemistically termed suspicious persons. Okay? So they see that this is a problem. All right. Anyway, I did have a couple other cases, but let's take a minute. Anyone want to share anything, chime in, or have other questions or anything like that?
Hey Joe.
Hey.
So I'm new to the channel. I've been watching YouTube for a while, so if I'm like off course, just let me know, okay?
All right, I'll just reach over and slap you if you get out of hand.
That's what I'm looking for, brother. That's what I'm looking for. So one case, and I don't know if now is the time to ask about it, but there's a case, and I would pull it up, but I should have pulled it up before I did this. But the case would be like, if you don't have an attorney, how can you go to a jail? There's a case that says if you don't have an attorney, they can't put you in jail. Do you know that case, or do I need to bring it up? Or
Yeah. Well, actually, there's a federal code that says that, but yeah. Yes.
But is that something you can fight in court? Or is that something you would put on the, I don't know, the what do you call it when you file it with your court case that they're on judicial notice or something? Or is that how that works or
I
no?
covered this a few years ago in a live somewhere. It's
Oh,
in
okay.
there.
Okay, I'll
Um,
look it up. I've watched a lot of your Rumble on YouTube, so maybe I haven't caught up with all of them yet. So,
I think it's like R Slinger, something like that.
okay. I just want to know what your input on because not that I'm just saying it because you've gone to jail, I've gone to jail, but I didn't have an attorney, and I was just curious what your quick input was. Is that true, or does it have to be framed right or worded right or something?
Uh, Everything's got to be framed right. It's all
Okay.
about framing.
Okay.
Let me see.
Their procedures, yes.
The procedures. Yeah, I've been learning a lot more about that since I've been
You
listening to
got,
Joe. So,
yeah, you got to learn the court rules. These guys do suck. You know, they will violate your rights every chance they get, but
oh yeah,
it just is what it is, you know. And then as long as you learn your court rules, you can better protect yourself against these guys.
just a refresher. I'm the guy that's been commenting on your YouTube when you do your lives. I'm the guy that got pulled over in Utah using my diplomatic plates. I don't know if you remember those
Yeah.
comments. That's me. So
Okay. Yeah. Well, I don't like to use those plates personally.
I'm learning that too. I need to find a different plate to use. So
Well, now it's all over. Brandon went and posted it, made a whole video about how some dude got caught with those plates in I think Michigan.
yeah,
And now he's you know he's laughing about it and stuff, but I don't think he realizes that there's a lot of attention on those plates now.
there it is. Yeah.
So
So I'm gonna have to just find a different plate to use or a sign, whatever you want to call it. I call it a sign, but
I
and
think
plus
this
I'm
is the
gonna
case.
okay.
The right of an indigent defendant in a criminal case to the assistant counsel, which is guaranteed by the Sixth Amendment as made applicable to the states by the 14th. Gideon versus Wainwright is not governed by the classification of the offense, whether or not the trial jury is required. No accused may be deprived of his liberty as a result of any criminal prosecution, while a felony or misdemeanor in which he was denied the assistance of counsel.
Oh,
That's it.
deny. That's the key word.
Yeah, denied the assistance of counsel. In
Oh,
this
so
case, the Supreme Court of Florida erred in holding that petitioner, an indigent who was tried in an offense punishable up to 6 months, $1,000 fine, given 90 days, had no right to court-appointed counsel on the ground that the right extends only to trials for non-petty offenses punishable by. This is how they get everyone. This is how they throw people in jail, right? You refuse counsel. You say I won't do it, right? Well, we gave you the option. You weren't denied counsel. That's how they get around that one.
so
Right.
okay. It's not. So the wording was different than I would I misunderstood. I was under the impression if you just didn't have one altogether, so it's if you were denied counsel. That's the key word. Okay. Okay.
There's another one. Yeah, see this. They pulled the same thing here. There's another case. The 6th and 14th Amendment requires that no indigent criminal defendant be sentenced to a term of imprisonment unless the state has afforded him the right to assistance of appointed counsel in his defense, but do not require a state trial court to appoint counsel for a criminal defendant, such as petitioner who's tried with statutory offense for which imprisonment upon conviction is authorized but not imposed.
What about this one here, Joe? And again, if I go on too long, just punch me in the face. The Supreme Court, Hamlin, maybe that's the one you just talked about, the Leon in Florida.
That's this
R.
one.
Argersinger.
Argersinger versus Hamlin. Yeah, that was the one I already had up.
Okay.
So yeah, I mean, there's things on this, and then what is it?
That's
18
fine.
U.S. Code. I think it's 4083. I think that's the one. Yeah, imprisonment, penitentiary imprisonment consent. Persons convicted of offenses against the United States or by court-martial punishable by imprisonment for more than 1 year may be confined in any United States penitentiary. A sentence for an offense punishable by imprisonment for 1 year or less shall not be served in a penitentiary without the consent of the defendant. They need your consent, man. Everything's about consent in this country, and there's
Holy,
all these people out there saying that it's not true. Right?
oh, it says it right there. Yeah. Then,
Declaration of Independence says it too. The consent of the governed. The state constitution say it too. Let's pick a state.
yeah, I've read it. You've read that a couple times without the consent.
Yeah, consent is everything.
Kansas.
Kansas Constitution. Let's do it. Hi, Kansas.
Kansas, yeah, right. That's what I was thinking. But that's awesome.
All right. The Constitution. The Kansas Constitution is the highest law of the state. Look at that.
Wow.
There you go. And where is it? Oh, here it is. All right, here. We got the ordinance. Let's see. Ordinance. Okay. This is garbage. First thing you want to do is like, hey, we could tax you, by the way. These are ordinances. That's ordinance preamble. We, the people of Kansas, grateful to Almighty God for our civil and religious privileges in order to ensure the full enjoyment of our rights as American citizens, do ordain and establish this Constitution of the state of Kansas with the following boundaries. To wit, beginning of okay, so then okay, well, that's just the points. Well, that's the real land mass they're talking about there. Bill of Rights. All men are possessed of equal and inalienable natural rights, among which are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Right? All political powers inherent in the people, and all free governments are founded on their authority. Where's the state get its power from?
The people.
What? No. You gotta be kidding me. No, that can't be a thing. And are instituted for their equal protection and benefit. So what does that make you?
Beneficiary, yeah.
You're a beneficiary. This is a trust agreement. You are a beneficiary of an irrevocable trust. Okay?
So when you go to court, you ask them, how does this benefit me?
That's
Did you
right.
say that? Did you say that before?
Yes, I have. Yeah, I'm like, you can say I waive the benefits. All right, have a good day. Get out. He's waiving the
Really?
benefits.
We'll say that again. You waive the benefits?
Waive the benefits. I'm sorry. Ryan, I just want to waive all benefits today. You want to waive the benefits? I waive all benefits. All right. All right. Have a good day. Bye.
I don't consent. That's funny.
If you waive the benefit, because going to court's a benefit. If you waive that benefit, well, then you don't go to court. It's consent. Right? No special privileges or immunities shall ever be granted by the legislator, which may not be altered, revoked, or repealed by the same body, and the power shall be exercised by no other tribunal or agency. No special privileges or immunities. So what is that saying?
I don't know.
Anytime a cop in Kansas says, I have qualified immunity, you say, well, according to the Kansas Bill of Rights, Article 2, you do not have qualified immunity. Oh, no, we have it. The state gave it to us. Well, the state violated the Constitution because you don't have it. Your immunities and special privileges are granted by me only, and I have the same ones you have.
Oh, shit. That's why you stress about the state constitution a lot more instead of.
Boom.
That's right. Yeah, you're a state citizen. Use your state constitution.
Yeah.
That's right.
I love it.
Yeah, they'll. So this is what I learned. 18-year-old me learned this the hard way in a municipal courtroom in New Jersey. I tried to use the federal constitution in there. The judge screamed at me, told me it doesn't apply, told me I can't bring it up. Right? They do this over and over and over again. Well, once I started talking about the New Jersey Constitution, they got real quiet.
Oh, shit.
I said,
Okay.
wow, look. Well, they can't say it doesn't apply in the courtroom now
right.
because I can just go petition that right to the next court. I will just do an appeal.
Right.
Well, the judge said that my rights under the state constitution don't apply in his court. And they're like, well, that's fucking wrong. Every court above him will tell him that's wrong. They'll tell you that that's why the people have to understand the incorporation doctrine. You got to understand the incorporation doctrine, right? If you understand the incorporation doctrine, okay, you understand why you can't utilize the federal constitution, okay, in a court case, in your court, unless it's been incorporated, okay? The incorporation doctrine is a constitutional doctrine through which parts of the first 10 amendments of the United States Constitution, known as the Bill of Rights, are made applicable to the states through the Due Process Clause of the 14th Amendment. So it doesn't apply to the states. Okay, and I found a case on that. There was a case that said it didn't apply, and then afterwards, after the 14th Amendment, it was an 1833 case, but I forgot the name of it. Damn, I don't remember. I think I have it somewhere on my computer. See if I can find it. No, I don't know. I forgot. But anyway, that's why I talk about the incorporation doctrine. It's important for people to understand this, right? Use your state constitution. Your state constitution is a win-win, okay? They don't like that. That's why they shut down my case so hard, because I used the state constitution to show that they violated my rights. They would sit there and go, oh, he's talking about the federal constitution, that stupid idiot. Oh, that's a dumb sovereign citizen. He's talking about the federal constitution like it applies here in the states, all right? Well, fine. Doesn't apply, but the state constitution does, right? 10th Amendment has not been incorporated. So when they say, well, under the 10th Amendment, we have police power. Well, are you under the 14th Amendment? Yeah. All right. Well, then you don't have a 10th Amendment right. Fuck you. All right. That's how I feel about it. But so fully incorporated is First Amendment, Second Amendment, Fourth Amendment, Eighth Amendment. So like here, like this is the one that even though it's fully incorporated, the states still violate it. Right? Same thing with the First Amendment. Cops go out there and they try to arrest people for walking around with video cameras in public. Right? Fourth Amendment, the Terry v. Ohio. Right? The Eighth Amendment. Right? They got, things like, well, I can't say I'm against the death penalty because I'm not. I think there's certain people out there that really need that. We really just got to clean the place up a little bit. But I think for the most part, it's been used nefariously on the wrong people, for sure, right? But it's sometimes it's a good thing, We're talking about those. I don't think I can say it on TikTok, but the little kid lovers, right? Those guys. I don't see a problem with that one. In you go, just throw them right down the freaking. First Amendment, but yeah, this incorporation doctrine, this is important. Reverse incorporation refers to the Supreme Court using state law to fill in the gaps when deciding issues which the Supreme Court itself has not considered before. This doctrine has not been used very often by the Supreme Court, right? Southern California Law Review article, whatever. That's an interesting idea, but anyway, that's the incorporation doctrine. That's why just use your state constitution. Some states don't have a right to bear arms. So in that case, you can always use the McDonald case from 2010 to show that it does apply to the states now. And then the Bruin case on top of that. Right here, we'll go back for a second. If we look at the Second Amendment, fully incorporated, right to keep and bear arms, McDonald versus Chicago, that's 2010. So U.S. citizens did not have the right to bear arms until 2010. But if you live in a state where your state constitution, like in New Jersey, there's no right to bear arms provision. Let's see if they have one. Yeah, look, Kansas, individual right to bear arms. A person has the right to keep and bear arms for the defense of self, family, home, and state, for lawful hunting and recreational use, and for other lawful purpose. But standing armies in time of peace are dangerous to liberty and shall not be tolerated, and the military should be in strict subordination to the civil power. That comes from the Boston Massacre. Okay, this right here. Standing armies in time of peace are dangerous to liberty. Now, if you don't know what the Boston Massacre was the thing that actually, you had the Stamp Act, right? That where they kept, like, the King George was charging more in taxes and stuff like that with the stamps and going crazy with it. The tea tax, there was other taxes too. But he was also getting pissed off about the colonial script because people were just like, well, we're just gonna make our own money and we'll use that for trading around the colonial script. So what he did was he started sending more British soldiers over into the colonies to watch over them. He's creating standing armies, right, during this technical peacetime. This is all due to the fact that the French Indian War put the king into a tight financial position. So he fought this war, beat the French. They got this land, right? The French Indian War, actually, George Washington fought in that war, and he was a young guy during that war. But that was the French Indian War, which was fought with the French and the Indians actually fought the British colonists. And the French actually hired the Indians to fight the war. They still lost anyway, because the British had the best army in the world. And the colonists were fighting. They had sent soldiers over. So after that war, they were broke. So he started taxing. But now, over the years, the taxing got out of control. Okay. As it got out of control, people got more upset about it. As people got more upset about it, he started sending more soldiers out to the colonies to watch over. That's the standing army, right? What ended up happening was that there was a lot of, turbulence between the colonists and the soldiers, right? And it just got to a point that I think it was 1773, the Boston Massacre happened, where or 1774, the Boston Massacre was basically someone insulted a soldier, like some kid insulted a soldier, and then the soldier took it too personal. It got out of hand. Shots were fired. They killed a guy, and everyone was in an uproar. And they said, "That's it. We're fighting this thing." And then that's how the Revolutionary War got started. By the way, the guy who got killed was a black guy. So when they tell you that this country was founded on racism, the Revolutionary War was started because of a black guy getting killed. Okay, again, from British soldiers. So it's not as racist as people think. You have to understand that back in those days, slavery was a normal institution throughout the planet. It wasn't, like, I'm not saying that racism didn't exist. It's just they spin things the wrong way sometimes. But that's where this comes from in the Kansas Constitution, is from that Boston Massacre. Standing armies in time of peace are dangerous to liberty and shall not be tolerated. And the military shall be in strict subordination to the civil power. Okay. So, hey.
Thank you for that, Joe.
But yeah, that's where that comes from. That's all from that Revolutionary War period. You can look it up, the Boston Massacre, 1700s. I used to be a history teacher, so people forget stuff like that. That was a fun one, because that's how I got all the kids in school to really learn. We would pull out a map, and draw up the whole thing from Boston Massacre all the way to the ratification of the Constitution. If you're in this group, do not raise your hand. Just open your mic and speak.
Hey, Joe.
Hey.
How are you? This is John.
Yeah, I know.
Hey, I want to thank you for 2 years ago you helped me out to do my ROE,
Yeah, you're welcome.
and I was able to check my IRS record, and it says there's no filing required.
All right, excellent. I wish we could just do a round of applause, but that's great, man. I love it. That's awesome.
That was awesome to hear.
Yeah, I don't know if anybody told you that. You can check your record on the IRS website, and you can see if you ever did your ROE, and you can see if you are required to file anymore or not. It says compliance, no filing required.
That's awesome. All right, that's a win right there. So there you go.
Holy
people.
shit, that shit's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
ROE works, man. No matter what other people say. So the detractors are going to say what they say. But John, I'm glad you came on today. I'm happy you're here and hanging out with us, and glad to hear your voice again.
And no problem. Thank you.
But yeah,
Again,
no, that's excellent.
appreciate for your help.
Mm-hmm. Anytime, man. That's what I'm here for.
I'm just trying to understand why, when you have an S corp, you cannot do ROE.
Because the S corp can't have, the IRS made this rule because all those corporations are established through the IRS, right? So the IRS made a rule, because you're going to the IRS to open those things. They make rules. They don't want non-resident aliens owning S corps, because S corps are pass-through entities.
Correct.
And that means that they don't pay any taxes. So that means that the board members have to pay the taxes. That's that employee portion of 3401, right, where it says officer of a corporation. To talk about specifically S corps and stuff like that, because they're trying to get the tax money, right? So if they can't get it from the S corp, they're going to get it from the guys, right, from the board members. So that's how they do that. That's why nonprofits and stuff like that, right, or PMAs is a good way to operate within the system, because those are non-taxable entities. All right.
Okay, so you're saying nonprofit, you're talking about the unincorporated nonprofit association?
Yeah, unincorporated, nonprofit, PMA. There's a bunch of different ways you can do it.
But PMA doesn't have an EIN, right?
You could get one, yeah, you could. Like the Boy Scouts are a PMA, and I'm sure they have an EIN. But I prefer to not have the PMA have an EIN, because then it has no way to be taxed. Right? So the way I like to set it up is I do the PMA, and then I have a trust that does the banking for the PMA exclusively. So that way the trust just does banking, but the PMA has no connection to the IRS or to the bank system or to the state. Right. And that's a power move on that end. That's how I like to do it.
Yeah, but the trust does have to file the 1041, does it?
No, it's not doing business.
It's not doing it.
It's not doing business. It's just holding money for someone else. It's not doing any business. It's not the file.
But if all the money doesn't have to file, even 1041, it doesn't have to file?
Is it making income?
Well, it's making income from the
No,
PMA.
it's not. No. It's not making income. So you're thinking that because I put money into the trust, that the trust is now making what was the exchange? There is none. There's zero exchange. It's not income. Right? So there's no money being made by the trust. It's just holding it for something else. Right?
As long as it's a non-interest bearing account. at the bank.
Exactly. That's it. Thank you. Yeah, as long as it's a non-interest bearing account. You gotta look at what actually is going on. Income is created under certain circumstances. If I hand you $100, that's not income. Right? If I hand you $100 after you do work for me, that could be income. Could be income. Right? If I hand you $100 and say, hey, hold this for me for later, is that income?
No.
That's what the trust is doing. It's holding the money for the PMA for later use. Right? So I set it up. See, this is, you got to look at what these things are doing, right? Like, it's really good. I urge people to actually draw these things out on a piece of paper and just like, here, look, let's do this. We're going to draw it out right here. All right. I think this is why this is going to make sense. So I'm going to make it make more sense. All right. So you have here, okay, a business. Okay. Here's a business. We'll call it B for business. All right. It does something. It has a product. Let's say it makes pencils. Okay.
So you have when you say business, is that like an S corp entity or just a business?
It's just a business. Don't worry about what kind of business it is, whatever. Just let's just come to peace with it. It's a business.
Okay.
All right, that's all we need to know for now. All right. So this business makes pencils. So people, right, come to the business. Right? They give money. Right? Here's some money, funny money. They give money to the business. The business gives them the pencil. This money is considered income under certain circumstances, not all, right?
Okay.
Because income is whatever profit is made after all the, so like to make that pencil could cost like 5 cents, right? So let's say he pays $1 for it, but the pencil costs 5 cents to make. How much did it cost to make the sale? How much did it cost to do this? All that stuff erases the income value of this dollar, right? So it's not a whole dollar. It's not 95 cents. They have to pay people to be there. They have to pay for the business storefront. All those things reduce the amount of income, because it's all expenditures. Okay. Now, let's say he takes all that money and he gives it to this trust over here. Okay. We'll do a triangle for trust because, you have the grantor, trustee, and beneficiary. Easy, right? Trust triangle. Okay. So it's going to hold the money, right? It's doing the business a favor and holding the money for it. Now, is this income?
No.
Right. And if your PMA operates like this, then there is no income. The trust has nothing to file because it's just holding the money. It's going to go back to the business later on anyway.
Does it technically qualify as a donation to the trust?
It's not even a donation,
Okay.
right? It's a function of the Treasury Department of the business.
So it's effectively just like a bank account.
Yeah, it's a bank account that's holding funds for future use
Gotcha.
for the beneficiary. The beneficiary is the business. The beneficiary is the grantor, right? And then someone here is the trustee. There's some dude over here, like let's say John, right, is the trustee. Okay, that's it. It's really simple. But the thing is that people see a lot of people get this thing hemmed up, right? Because they go, oh, like what John was saying here is. But the trust has to file. Trust doesn't have to do any filing because it's not doing business. This thing's doing business. But if all the funds are held in the trust, it can't even report those funds because it's not considered liquid in their accounts, right?
Yeah.
Whatever is left over in the business account, okay, whatever money's left over after all expenditures and stuff like that is considered income. Whatever's left over, that's considered income. And that would be taxable. If there's nothing in here, let's say it's not there, it's all held in this trust, it's not taxable until the beneficiary utilizes it. But if he's only using it for business expenditures, then there is no income. This is the game. Oops. That's the game, people. That's how you play the game.
Yeah, but this you draw as a business that doesn't have employees, right? It's just a solar business.
It doesn't matter. See, you could do this on a business of 1 or 1,000. If you do it the same way, right, it doesn't matter how scalable the business is. It's going to do the same thing. Okay? If you have a business and you put all the business funds into a trust and that trust holds the funds for the benefit of that business, that is a trust account for the business as the beneficiary. But if it limits the amount of money that business can utilize for profit, then the only profit available would be taxable. And if you can do your paperwork right and if you can do the filing right, the paperwork right, the business would never be taxable, even a statutory business, because it wouldn't actually have enough access to funds like actual income to be taxable. Right? And you would say, well, we can do these expenditures here, right? So you got to do a financial plan. A good financial plan will protect you against tax, against the tax guys. Okay.
Correct.
So that's how that works. Good financial planning, right? You work out what are your weekly expenditures, right? Monthly expenditures, right? I break it down into a day-by-day thing. How much am I paying a day for this place, right? How much do I pay a day for that? How much am I paying a day for electricity? And those are all your expenditures that you can do per day. Of course it goes out to a week or to a month, but this is how this works. It's very, very convoluted at first, but once you have your system laid down and your financial plan set up, it's like clockwork. It's so simple, but it's a bit of like a pain in the ass to put it together at first, because you're like, oh God, I got to do this, or I got to figure this out. But once you got it, it's real simple. And these guys will never bother you. They'll never bother you. I've been open here. I've had this business here for 16 years now. Never once ever been bothered by the state, by the federal government. Nobody's ever bothered me, not one time. Okay. I got trusts. I got the PMA. I have the nonprofit. I've never been bothered. Right. Yeah, we try to do these every Saturday morning. Yeah. So answering the questions on YouTube, but that's how that works. All right. So for the most part.
Okay.
Joe, can I ask a question about that?
Thank you.
Yes.
On the PMA, who pays the bills? What account pays the bills?
Oh, the trust. The trust could pay the bills on behalf of that, right? So, like, let's say your trust account has checks. When you have to write a check out, you would sign it as trustee, not personally, and you would send the check out, and in the memo line you would say on the memo line you would explain that this is for that payment for that company. Like, if the business bills, you would say you're paying this. You would send it with the billing statement anyway. So,
Okay,
but that's
okay.
that's how it links it together. But you just put in the memo line for that company on behalf of
And
the
then
company.
you have your cash book to put all your entries in. To be able to keep track of your expenditures.
Yes, keep your books, people.
Well, the problem is when you have like we have a
Keep-
dental office, you need we have employees, we have credit card, we have to deal with insurance, stuff like that. So sometimes we need the EIN number to use with them.
Yeah. Well,
So
that's fine.
we have to have like an S corp, LLC, or something with the EIN.
Trust. Trust.
So
account.
we give them the trust number, the EIN.
Yeah, you say, well, the trust is going to be doing all the business now, right? And the PMA
Okay.
just doesn't need one.
Hmm.
But I think what you're going to have to do, you're going to have to hit up with me on a one-on-one, and we'll have to hash it out what your situation is, because yours is more convoluted because of the dentistry.
Right. I see.
All right. So there's
All
other things going on in that situation. It's not as cut and dry as it would be for a lot of other people.
No, okay.
All right. But we're not going to get into more of that in here because it's just going to
I
turn into a
know,
whole
I
other
know.
mess.
Too deep hole. Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
No worries. Yeah, I just came out to let you know about my ROE. Appreciate it.
No, that's awesome.
Yeah, I always wanted to thank you for that.
Yeah. Well, thank you for telling everybody, because most people don't ever say anything, and then later on they'll just say it in passing. Oh yeah, that thing worked.
Yeah, but to be honest, I just came across it. I think a few weeks ago, a couple of
Mhm.
weeks, 3 weeks. Yeah, well, because I never went to my IRS account. My wife always did because she was doing all the because with the business she used my account. After I did the ROE, she didn't. Now she's eager to do hers now because she wants to be exempt too.
There you
Yeah.
go. Now we're talking. Look at
Yeah.
that. Yeah. That's
Yeah,
great.
because she filed marriage separate, Yeah.
You just go on the IRS website, get an ID.me account, and you can log in and go see all your stuff. It's not complicated.
Yeah, it should be under tax record and you should be under tax compliance.
On YouTube,
Yeah.
Joe, I like what Poppy Golden Sun said on that Eisner versus Macomber, 1920.
Income must be a gain, yet your wages are just an equal exchange for. Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm talking about. That's exactly what I was drawing on that whiteboard thing, was that it's all the gains are considered income. Like all the expenditures and all that stuff is not income, because it's the cost of producing that pencil, right? Producing it and selling it, making the sale. There's a lot involved in that.
Mizzou has a question on TikTok about, well, how about you go about doing your taxes?
I don't do taxes. There you go. It's that simple. I just don't do them. I don't pay taxes. I don't need to pay taxes. I'm not obligated to pay taxes. I don't create taxable events, right?
If you don't have
don't
a
do it.
business, if you're only W4 or W2 person, doing ROE is the best thing for you. And what do you call it? You
Correct.
feel so good after that. You don't have to worry about April 15. You don't have to worry about anything after that.
We're gonna look at we're gonna look at that Iser versus Macomber case, because I'm glad Poppy put that in there. We're gonna pull it up and take a look at it real quick. Income, restored to docket. Oh, by the way, this is after the 16th Amendment. So, this is after 16th Amendment. So, what is and is not income within the meaning of the amendment must be determined in each case according to truth, substance, without regard to form. Income may be defined as the gain derived from capital, from labor, or from both combined, including profit gained through the sale or conversion of capital. Mere growth or increment of value in a capital investment is not income. Income is generally a gain or profit in itself of exchangeable value proceeding from capital, served from it, and derived or received by the taxpayer for his separate use, benefit, and disposal. Okay. But this says labor. Let's look at labor. Let's see if it says anything about labor in here. Congress was not empowered by the 16th Amendment to tax as income of a stockholder without apportionment. A stock divided made lawfully and in good faith against profits accumulated by the corporation. Okay. Let's see. Let's see if we can find the word labor in here. Labor.
Actually, the Congress voted for no direct income to people, to we the people. Is that correct?
Yeah, there's a recent, there's the Moore versus United States case from last year that also says that. Okay, after examining dictionaries in common use, Bouvier's Standard Dictionary, Webster's International Dictionary, Century Dictionary, we find little to add to the sufficient definition adopted in 2 cases of writing in the Corporate Tax Act. Right? Income may be defined as the gain derived from capital, from labor, or from both combined. Right? But it says labor, but it's not just, it's the capital. What does capital mean? That's the thing. What did they define capital in here? Let's see. Derived from capital. Derived from capital. Capital assets. Capital stock, capital interest. Let's see if I don't see them defining capital in here though. Boy, they use it a lot though. They're like, capital. Capital interest, capital stock, capital interest, capital stock.
Joe, given that they've cited Webster's dictionary in here, would we then find the definition of capital in Webster's, or would we go to Black's Law, or how would you do that in this?
Just go to Webster's dictionary. Right?
But from like a legal argument perspective, would you reference both?
Why not? Punishable, excellent stock. A stock of accumulated goods, especially at specified time, and in contrast to income received during a specific advantage, gain, could be that one.
I like what Poppy Golden Sun says about Hale versus Hinkle in 1906, and affirm that your labor is your private property.
Yes, yeah, that's right. I covered that on Rumble years ago, that case. Yeah, exactly. That's another one. I like Poppy. You got some good stuff over there. Yeah. It also said that you don't have to, it also protected your Fifth Amendment right as well. Hale versus Henkel. Being assets that add to the long-term net worth of a corporation. Relating to also assets. So they consider it an asset. Okay, well that makes more sense now. So if they're calling it an asset, that's something that makes the company money just flat out without any kind of expenditures. So that's what they mean by capital in here, is what it looks like. So they're talking about stockholders' share and the accumulated profits of the company is they defined it right there. Look at that. That's the definition. All right. The stockholders' share in the accumulated profits of the company. That is capital. So, paying the utilities, paying the people that work there, none of that's capital, meaning that it's not taxable. That means that the people who are collecting wages, what is it? It's not capital, and thus it is not taxable. They don't pay taxes unless it's capital, and your wages are not taxable. It's a great case. Yeah. Yeah, I've seen this case before, but I never really read it. So
A
I've
new
seen it
video.
referred to before.
A
Yeah,
new
I'm gonna do a
Rumble.
video on this. Yeah, this will be up on Rumble. But I like this one. That's good. But that right there tells you everything. The stockholder share in the accumulated profits of the company is capital, not income. But that's what they're taxing. All right, very cool. So,
Thank you, Puppy Golden Sun.
yeah. But yeah, so all right, where else are we going today? We could talk about anything, as you can tell.
Joe, I don't know if we can talk about this, but again, let me know. You mentioned in I think one of your last videos of the last 2 or 3 days, and I can't find it, maybe because I'm not looking hard enough on the right spot, but you mentioned something in the way of when you go to court case, you hand this thing, and
No,
it's only in your assumed name videos. But
no, just leave it be.
all right, thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm gonna.
It's okay. You don't have to explain. I'm just
Yeah.
asking.
All
I'll
I'm
find
gonna
it.
say-
Melody will help me.
All I'm gonna say is that in the assumed name course in school, there are other things you do, but basically the way I'm explaining to everybody here is that the assumed name certificate separates you from the legal entity. That's why we get the assumed name. Now in school, I do show more about that, but we can't really. It's kind of sensitive, so we don't talk about it here.
Okay.
All right.
That's
And
fine.
just so that everybody knows, there is more information about the assumed name. Anyone who did that course could say, you could just say like how much information is actually behind that assumed name course. You don't have to say what it is exactly, but if anyone-
Lots of wonderful information in that assumed name course.
Okay, I'll keep watching. I think I just missed something, and I'll go back on it. But I just thought there was a particular thing you turned in, and I'm like, maybe I'm missing something. But
there's a lot of stuff on there. Yeah, there's affidavits and other things that you do but it's a bit different. That's why I did the Q&A the other day for that, because
I know, and I gotta watch that. Dang. Okay, I'll do that right now.
There's things that changed because of what Minnesota did and some other things, and I wanted to add. By the way, in school, I'm gonna do Q&As for the other courses as well. All right, and if
Okay.
you guys don't know what I'm talking about, here I'll show everybody what we're talking about here.
I just signed up this week, so I'm getting more familiar now. And Melody's been wonderful answering a lot of questions. So thank you.
Well, and as somebody else who just signed up a little over a week ago, I can say that information's easy to digest. It's very well organized.
It really is.
It's a supportive community with good responsiveness to needing support, trying to understand something. I've really enjoyed the experience so far.
It's been really well laid out as well. Like, I mean, it's just unreal. So I'm enjoying it as well.
So Joe, were you going to post that timestamp outline that I sent you in direct message for the Q&A?
Oh,
Or did you want that just posted somewhere else?
let me do that, but here I'll show everybody what we're talking about real quick. Right, when we talk about this thing is organized, this is the Liberty Foundation.
Mhm.
These are the courses, how they're laid out. There's a welcome course. It's real short. It's just here I'll show you. Right, there's a disclaimer. Your path to freedom. It's just a video explaining this, and it's already way different than it looked when I made the video. And I only made the video like a week ago. All right, how to do the courses. Okay, so that way you actually learn how to do the courses. So I recommend everyone start here at 0.0. Anything that's marked with an asterisk is not a requirement course to move on to the next level. 0.0 obviously is, because I want everyone to be properly informed of how things work in here. Basic terms and phrases is a requisite. It's a prerequisite course, so you got to do it before you move on to like course 2. Of course, we have like a common law marriage course, which is not done, by the way. I'm going to add more stuff to that one. Courtroom mastery course, which will never be complete. I'm assured now, because there's just too much stuff to cover on that, right? Which is, by the way, under the disclaimer, right? I'll show you under this disclaimer right here, right? It's all for informational and educational purposes only, right? collection discharge, common law marriage, laws of agency, which is a course I was working on yesterday. I put it up yesterday. And then national, how to contract as a national. That's a new course. It should be an asterisk. I didn't put an asterisk on there, but there should be one there because that's not a prereq to do other courses. Tax recoupment, other stuff. There's a new course which I put these up, but no one can see that one yet.
Phenomenal. I love this.
US war powers, freedom from martial law, assumed name, right? Which there's a lot of stuff on here. Okay. And yes, if like here, I'll click on one, show you like you have your video, you have your questions, because somebody was asking if this is organized and stuff. And yes, it is very organized, very thorough. I'm ensuring that everyone is getting, full comprehension of the data, like you're going to
Well, and just to comment on that and give you some constructive criticism / feedback, that's one of the things that I've enjoyed is that you're very responsive, and school obviously is growing in such a way that you want people to digest the information. And when you host these classes, I'm noticing that you're making a lot of immediate changes, additions, clarifications, which is why it's changed so much, as you mentioned. But it's because you're not, rigid, stuck in, being stubborn. You're like, okay, well, let's expand here. Let's go more in depth there. Let's clarify here. And that's been really encouraging to see that we're not the only ones learning, but you're learning what works, which is great.
Yeah,
I like that he allows us to vote too on certain things when he listens to our input.
Exactly. Yeah, it's definitely a symbiotic process for sure.
Oh, it's got to be. I mean, it can't just be. I know there's guys who have like this rigid thing and stuff. I don't really care. Look, the whole thing is that as a group, we're a group. We're all united together. We're all in it together. So we have to work together as a group, right? Also, the thing is that it has to be like as you guys do things and say things and comment, I find where the holes are in the courses, and I go, oh, let's fill that gap. Oh, let's add this. Let me change the questions a little bit to help make it a little bit more applicable, right, to people's situations. And all the questions and essays are usually geared towards making it applicable. So, and of course, adding in like the laws of agency course, I put that in there because I was like, crap, this is actually something that you guys really need to know. Because once you get onto the 2 course and move on, once you do like the status correction and that stuff, like you have to understand how the laws of agency work. So that way, when you start contracting, you can invoke the laws of agency and protect yourself, right? It's really, really important. But that's just one example. But yeah, the whole idea is that we want to do as many things as we can to ensure that nobody has any gaps in their knowledge and understanding. So you guys keep posting stuff on there, keep posting questions, right? Just realize I'm reading all this stuff. I'm trying to catch up with everybody's stuff on there and reading it and trying to answer questions and then go, okay, we'll make a course about that. But if you post a problem, I say the 2.5 course will be the solution. That's the solution. All right. So, which I kind of like that because it's so easy. It's like, oh, 2.5, they'll fix it. A lot of people have 2.5 issues. So that's the course to go to is the 2.5 for a lot of people. Currently, who knows? It could be, sometimes it's a combination. Like somebody was posting about their car stuff. I said, I said, yeah, we probably have to cover some things in there. There's things we haven't covered yet. So the courtroom mastery course and the assumed name course would be the 2 things they would need to do to handle that. Traffic stuff is nuts. So, there's going to be times where you're going to have to go through 2 different courses to utilize the information. But if you've already done one and you do the other one, now you have that unifying concept.
As somebody who's getting ready to go through all those different courses, because I'm just completing the first one, what can you clarify the order? Because I know some of them are optional, and some of them are more required for subject matter. So, can you go over that again? Or is it there may be another video that explains that better, that I can watch as well?
I mean, they basically just go in order 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
I'm talking about when you get into like 1.2, 1.3, 1.4. Are those
Here, I'll show you. Just so everyone knows what we're talking about. I'll pull it back up. So once you do one, right? 1.1, it's, I mean, I could literally swap these out, the numbers, it doesn't matter. All these point courses is just another one, right? They're not like you could skip 1.1 and go to 1.2, but it would behoove you to learn the administrative process before doing any of these other courses, because that administrative process is the foundation for all these, but you don't need to do it to do the courtroom mastery course.
Yeah, and to clarify, I'm in 1.1. It changed since I last saw it. But the so I don't have to do 1.4, but it would be
No.
wise to do 1.3, and like because I've got some traffic court coming up here soon. So I want to do them in order, but I also want to make sure I consume the information as expediently as possible to address the situations I've got coming up.
Traffic court is going to fall under this one, which
Mhm.
I haven't really done any of the stuff for the traffic court yet. But if you go through this, you have the disclaimer in the beginning, right? It's for educational and informational purposes only. This is about jurisdiction, status, legal fiction, power of language. Part 4, I forgot what I talked about in here, but this is like conditional acceptances and stuff like that. This actually goes back into the administrative process, right? See, look, the administrative process. And then this one is about public and private. I should have labeled this. Actually, let me just do that right now. Part 4, administrative process. Spelled it wrong. See. All right. Oh yeah, you got to do a sketch there, and then this is public versus private. I get a little anal about these things sometimes. Oh, I gotta make it. Yeah, this is long. See, there's a lot of stuff in that one. You see, so like there's a lot of essays, a lot of questions, all kinds of stuff. So realize that if you were to join this group, that and you start studying this stuff, I'm not gonna make it like this light little. Okay, yeah, now you can do it. No, I want you. You gotta know your shit. You're dealing with government agents, people who've spent their. We have 100 years of tyranny on the American people, where they utilize the court system and the legal system to diminish our rights and our power. Okay, so it's not like a piece of paper and boom, now everything's erased. These guys have welded together this machine to use against us, and we have to know every corner and really understand each piece that's welded together and find all the weak points and utilize them to our advantage. And that's what you're going to get in there.
They're going to try to get you in court too. They're going to test you to see if you know what you think you know. So going through the court process and you're in front of a judge, they're going to test you to see how much you do know. And they're going to try and trick you.
Well, and it's interesting. And so I've got 3 different courtrooms to go to effectively for all the exact same offense, driving without license plates. And long story short, one of them considers it a criminal. It shows up as a criminal offense, and the other 2, all for the exact same thing in the exact same state, count them as traffic citations. So I'm diving into all the different rules and also reading the
state is that?
Constitution after today's talk.
What state is that?
Missouri.
Missouri. Someone's knocking on my door. I'm not going to get it right now. We're in the middle of this. We're gonna keep knocking. Hold on a second. Seriously? I'm in a live. Come on, man. You were on the live. This guy's on the live and he shows up here. What the heck? He's like in the meeting. I guess you're not in the meeting anymore.
I got disconnected.
Oh, we got disconnected. We're still on. We got another 30 minutes. All right, why don't you pull up a seat, sit down, hang out with us, say hi to everybody.
Holy shit.
Say hi. All right, so there's John. He's here with us now.
Oh my gosh.
I'm gonna bounce. Go do your thing. I'll get a coffee. Go get a coffee.
Yeah, there's coffee right there.
All right.
I have a coffee machine.
Coming
I'll
over
fix it.
too.
He actually got me the coffee machine. He's a good guy. All right, so I'm like, who's knocking on the door? I'm like, nobody comes here at this time. Anyway, surprise! I did not expect you to show up. Now he's leaving. He's getting coffee. All right.
Hey, Joe, I've got a quick question.
Yeah.
I'm ready to send my affidavit of status to the Secretary of State. Should I mail it normally using the Four Corners rule, or should I follow the information on the prepaid mail video?
No. So send a certified mail, pay for the postage, because otherwise they'll send it back. When you're dealing with government agents, don't do that prepaid mail stuff because the government doesn't like that. But you can do it with like debt collectors, other people. But when you're sending stuff to the government, just pay it. You know, buy the stamps, put the stamps on there, send it out.
Gotcha. That's what I thought. Thank you.
So the state you asked earlier was Missouri.
Oh yeah. That's right. Yeah, and then we got let's see, Missouri
Had a coffee break.
Constitution. This is what I like to do. A guide to the Missouri Constitution. What is this? Download a no charge to complete Missouri. What is this crap? You could download it, but we don't want you to just have access to it. Maybe I'll just download it. What the hell? Why not? Right? It ain't gonna hurt to have it. I guess a PDF of it. Hey. My computer's being funky. All right, here we go. Oh, I didn't have to download it. Just pulled it up. Okay. It is a PDF. All right, so Constitution of the United States. Huh? What? All right. Now, this is what I like to do. Proclamation, Solemn Public Act, Bill of Rights. All right, let's go to page 11. Bill of Rights. We, the people of Missouri, with profound reverence for the supreme ruler of the universe, and is great and grateful for his goodness, do establish this Constitution for the better government of the state. Okay? In order to assert our rights, acknowledge our duties, and proclaim the principles on which our government is founded, we declare. Ooh, I like that. Source of political power. Origin, basis, games, government. Oh, we got to go down here. All political power is vested in and derived from the people. All government of right originates from the people, is founded upon their will only, and is instituted solely for the good of the whole. That cop shows up into the courtroom, ask him, what's the source of the state's political power? And if he can't tell you it's the people, then he's incompetent. So let the record reflect the officer does not understand the source of his political power. And they say that's irrelevant. No, it's not. It's not irrelevant. Article 1, Section 1 of the Missouri Constitution states the source of political power. Right? Promotion of general welfare, natural rights of persons, equality under the law, purposes of government. All constitutional government is intended to promote the general welfare, natural right to liberty. Okay, that's fine. Power of the people over internal affairs, constitution, and form of government. Right? The people of this state have the inherent, sole, and exclusive right to regulate the internal government and police power. I like this one. Who's moving to Missouri now, right? And to alter and abolish their constitution, form of government whenever they may deem it necessary to their safety and happiness, provided such change be not repugnant to the Constitution of the United States. Oh, see, so there's your supreme law of the land taking action in the state constitution right there.
So essentially, they're just preying on our laziness.
Yeah, that's
So,
right.
I
given,
mean, seriously,
given,
that's all we have to say is just look at what you guys said we could do. Oh my gosh.
That's right.
so given that the Constitution directly cites the United States Constitution in court, would you still go off the Missouri, or would you?
Yes, absolutely.
You have
They will still play that game with you, like, oh, that doesn't apply. That's federal.
okay.
So, but
And then-
they'll say that they're only talking about the change be not repugnant to the Constitution.
Gotcha.
All right.
Except that the very first page of the Constitution says United States Constitution, but it's underneath the Missouri Constitution, which
Don't try to don't
Gotcha.
play that. Don't do it. Just use the state constitution. Missouri is a free and independent state. All right. Freedom of religion. Okay. Cool. Practice for religion. Public aid for religious purposes. Freedom of speech. Cool. Right. Petition, due process of law. No person shall be deprived of life, liberty, or property without due process of law. Cool. No person shall be imprisoned for debt except for non-payments of fines and penalties imposed by law. Habeas corpus shall never be suspended. Cool. Okay. Unreasonable search seizures. Okay. Okay, here we go. This is it. This is it right here. This is what you want. Rights of accused in criminal prosecutions. That in criminal prosecutions, the accused shall have the right to appear and defend in person by counsel to demand the nature and cause of the accusation. Right here. What you do, you see, this is applicable. This is how you apply this. Right? This is how I apply it anyway. I'm not telling you to do this, but this is what I would do. I go into court, right? Judge calls me up. Says, how do you plead? I said, I'd love to give you a pleading. I just need to get I just got a couple questions. Don't bring up the other cases. I wouldn't bring up the other cases because one's criminal and two are civil. So you just know in your mind that you have rights to know the nature and cause of the accusation. So you go into the courtroom. I go, is this civil or criminal? And if he said, well, this is civil. So, okay, motion to dismiss. And you dismiss it right there because of the fact that they can't try their own case at that point. Okay, that's illegal because now the judge has a bias in the case. If he says it's criminal, which is probably what they're going to all say anyway, they're all going to say it's criminal. You say, okay, thank you very much. Let the record reflect that the charges are indeed criminal. Okay, and then from there, you say, okay, the judge goes, is that all? And they can be real snooty about it too. Is that it? Do you have any other questions? Actually, I do. Thank you for asking. Yes, my next question is under our Constitution, we are granted it's granted two forms of criminal jurisdiction. One under common law, one under Admiralty Maritime. Which of these two do you intend to try me under? Sir, why don't you go have a seat? We're not going to talk about that right now. So just simple yes, simple answer. Common law, Admiralty. Like this is a joke. This is a statutory court. Like, all right. Your Honor, can you please cite where the statutory procedures are? Now they'll do stuff like that, or we're going to hold you in contempt. You keep asking these questions. You can't talk anymore. All right, do I have rights? Yeah, but you already talked. You don't need to talk anymore. You just got to demand that they give you an answer to that question. And they can't answer that question because they're not on. It's not a common law court. Only a common law court can they see you in. And if they say, yeah, this is a common law court, you say, okay, has the state provided any victims? And with victim testimony, no, we don't have that. All right, dismiss the case. Then
So would they can't consider, because in here it says to meet the witness against him face to face.
yes, that's a crime.
Can they can they consider the officer to be the witness or the quote
Well, they
unquote
will,
victim?
yes, the witness. Now he's a witness, but not the victim.
Okay.
Here, let's do this. We're gonna go scholar.google, okay, and we're gonna type in hold on, let's do this.
Laugh at them if they say the state is the victim.
Yeah,
And if they argue that the state is the victim?
You're in the wrong court because the state can't try its own case.
that's right.
Hmm.
It can't. Yeah. State versus Edwards. Okay, let's see. Corpus delicti. All right. The burden the burden to establish corpus delicti is upon the state. The corpus delicti in homicide case consists of two elements: proof of the death of the victim and evidence of the criminal agency. So here we're going to break it down to this: proof of the crime that there was a victim, evidence that the criminal agency of another was the cause of the victim's injury. Right? I know it says death here, so we could find other ones, but that's one. The corpus delicti cannot be presumed and must be proved by legal evidence sufficient to show that the crime charge has been committed by someone. Okay. All right, so that's one thing right there. That's State versus Edwards. Let's do corpus delicti.
Now, is it possible to prepare a packet and send it to the court just to have it dismissed? Or do you always have to appear in person?
No, I mean it happens. They'll dismiss before you show up, but don't
Don't count on that.
Yeah, don't count on it.
Gotcha.
They want to bring you into court. They want to intimidate people. They want people to bend the knee and get scared and go, "I submit. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. I'll do whatever you want." Right? But when you stand up against these freaking people in court, they leave you the fuck alone after a while. They go, "You know what? We can't get this guy." Like I went to court. I had to go to county court over an appeal case. I'm in there, I wrote my brief out and all this stuff, and I put all this stuff together, and it was, I sent it in. When I showed up to court, I went there with nothing in my hands, right? And I'm sitting there, and I'm talking to the judge, and I'm telling him everything, and he's like, "What are you reading from?" I said, "I don't have anything." He's like, "Where's your brief?" I said, "Oh, I didn't have enough ink to print it out, so I didn't print it out." He's like, "We'll get one for you," right? And the thing was that this was me talking in there for 15 minutes without any paperwork in front of me. The lawyer, on the other hand, he's going through paperwork and reading things off, and so that's what he was doing. And the judge was like, this dude is just sitting there saying this stuff without paperwork. This is scary. That intimidates these guys because they're like, this guy knows what he's talking about. Right.
Yeah.
But he went and printed out my thing and then goes, "Let's talk about that." I said, "Well, I mean, I did talk about the things in here, but I can make other points because of this. And this." And then he's like, "Oh, okay." Then he realized that, that judge knew. He's like, "No, this guy knows what he's doing." Right. And then after that case, they never let me cross-examine a cop ever again.
Hmm.
I think they put something out, do not let this guy talk to the cops, right? It was actually the case before that, like it was that case that I was appealing, the case that I appealed, I did cross-examine the cop. I made the guy look totally bad. And when I asked to have his testimony stricken for the record, the judge said no. I said, "But I proved that he's incompetent." He goes, "That doesn't matter. He's no officer of the law." I was like, "That's illegal. You can't, if the guy doesn't know what he's talking about, you can't keep his testimony." It's like having me go in and testify that that rocket ships, use certain things to operate. I don't know anything about that. I go in there and make up some shit. They can't use my testimony. I'm not a rocket expert. The hell. But that's what they did. I'm like, this guy's not an expert on the law. He doesn't know what he's talking about. All right, so corpus delicti, out of courtroom confession statements or admissions accused are not admissible. Okay. No constitutional rights are at stake. Corpus delicti. Let's find some. Let's see. Okay, so reasonable doubt, preponderance, substantial evidence that the offense has been committed, and the evidence as a whole proves beyond reasonable doubt that the defendant is guilty. So never admit that you did anything either. Right? That's the key thing is, and this right here, right? This is mens rea, right? This is what people, I see people do this all the time. All right. People do this way, way, way too much, and they got to stop doing this. It's like the worst thing to do. Okay. Like I'll meet up with somebody to go, hey Joe, so let me tell you what happened. Blah blah blah. This happened, and I did these things, and then the cops did this thing, and then when I was doing this, and I was like, you know what I'm hearing right now? I'm hearing how you're guilty. That's how the judge is going to take it. That's how all these guys are going to take it. I'm explaining myself. Oh, so you're explaining why you broke the law. Got it. You just admitted guilt. So people got to be real careful about what they say in court. Limit to only asking the questions. That's what I do. Ask the questions, point out the follies, all the errors, the mistakes. Hey, he didn't understand that. Let the record reflect, right? Your Honor, is this a common law court or admiralty court? That's a stupid question. All right, I'll repeat my question. Is this a common law court or court of admiralty maritime? You know, oh, I'm going to hold you contempt. Okay, thank you. Okay, is that civil contempt or criminal contempt? That's criminal contempt. Okay, is that under common law or admiralty maritime? You can go right back into it. You know, or ask them the definition of contempt. What's your definition of contempt? All right. So, but what I'm showing you here is that corpus delicti consists of certain things in the state. Evidence must be corpus delicti, point to someone other than the accused as the guilty party. Okay. Yeah, this is not particularly helpful. The first one was good. State versus Antwin. Let's see. No corpus delicti in there. Why does that even come up? Because the Supreme Court. All right. Let's just get rid of that. Corpus delicti. Didn't we see this one? I thought. Yeah, we just looked at this one, didn't we? See State versus Edwards. I think that's the one we looked at, right? Corpus delicti. Yeah. That's it. That's all it is. You have to have a real victim and the criminal agency of another. That's both mens rea and that's the guilty mind, right? And then the actual act itself. They can't prove those things. There's no crime. If he says it's civil, you say, well, dismiss because this is you can't see your own case, right? This is invalid as far as that goes. Why are you over there? Why don't you come hang out? He comes all the way over here and then hides away in the corner. Oh, okay. All right. Anyway, all right. So what else are we doing? We've only got a few minutes left because I was going to end off anyway. I got some errands to run, but
I have a question.
Yeah.
What was the process again of verifying your national status with the passport?
There isn't. It's just one of those things. You'll only verify it once the passport's being used for something. Okay.
Okay, because I've been pulled over 3 times since then, and all the cops were cool, checked me out, and told me no tickets today. Have a nice trip.
Well, there you go. That would confirm it for me right there.
Well, one was going 86 and a 55 too, so, and he was real cool.
Yeah, well, there you go. That's probably what it was. You did the status correction. They can see it in their system. They're like, yeah, just give them a warning, let them go.
Okay. Well, thank you.
Yeah. So looks like Kevin's got his status corrected there. Congratulations.
Well, I did it through the Copper Moonshine Stills 2 years ago.
Yeah.
So, all right. Great.
Excellent.
Yep.
Hey Joe, what did he give them when cop pulled him over?
Passport.
Oh, just passport? The passport ID, correct?
I actually gave my driver's license.
Oh,
Oh, really? What did he tell you?
He told me he was no tickets. Have a nice day,
Oh,
What
wow.
state are you on?
Michigan. But this was in Illinois and in Missouri, two of them.
They probably have a they probably connect into the NCIC database system. That's probably what's going on. It connects into there because some states they don't connect to the NCIC. That's the National Crime Information Center database. So when you go to the Department of State and go get a passport and change your status, they put that into the NCIC database. Some states go into the NCI database and extract the data out of there. Some states do not. This is why the passport works in some states and some states it doesn't. So probably in the state where you have a driver's license, they actually do that. So it goes into their system and anyone that reads it will have that information. But like states like New Jersey do not access the NCIC database. I've asked the cops that they didn't even know what I was talking about. They had
I
no
have a
idea.
Michigan driver's license.
Well, there you
Oh,
go.
because I got
It's
pulled
probably a
over. I
Michigan
couldn't
thing.
not correct my status. I got pulled over. I gave them the driver license, but they gave me a ticket anyways for speeding.
But did you change your status?
Yes, I have. I
But
did the
that's
passport.
but you're not in the same state as him. That's my point.
I am in Illinois. He took the ticket in Illinois. I was in Illinois.
All right. Again, Kevin, tell him what state your driver's license is in.
Michigan.
Michigan.
Michigan, yeah, but he got the ticket in Illinois. He got
I
pulled
got
over in
pulled
Illinois.
over in Illinois for doing 86 and a 55, and he let
All
me
right.
go.
John, hear what
Yeah.
I'm saying. The state that issued the driver's license is the state that's connected to the NCIC database.
I see. Okay, so maybe Illinois is not then.
Probably not, but they have to draw it from the Michigan database system when they pull them over in Illinois. So they tell
Okay.
him through their database system.
Okay, so maybe I should give them my passport instead of my driver license. That way they will be able to go. They have to go through an NCA, you say it? Maybe. I don't know. Next time.
Hey, Joe.
I don't think Illinois is communicating with the database system, with the NCIC database, is my point. Again, he's got a Michigan license. They put it into their database. Illinois ran his information, which is from Michigan, and it came back saying, don't ticket him. You can't do that in Illinois. It's not going to work the same. Like Jersey doesn't do that. All right, William, what's up, man?
I see. Okay, thanks.
I've been going through the Monday meetings trying to find the PO box set up through the trust estate, and you told me to take the information from the birth certificate. It was the time, place, and file number in the top right corner of the post office application.
Yeah.
Just those three in that little square, and then with the statistics vital records. And that should be enough. I was wondering, should I establish some kind of quick irrevocable trust to back myself up, or you think I can probably get away with it?
No, that's fine. You don't need to do that.
Thank you, Joe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Hey, yo, what was that? That was cool. I was like Mr. T over there for a second. On TikTok, gold chains and stuff. So, all right. Okay, he wants to know what nature and cause is. All right, nature and cause is basically what's the nature? What kind of crime is this? Or what kind of charge is this? Is this like a civil or is it a criminal? That's the nature. Civil means that they want money from you. You broke a contract agreement, right? Criminal means that you hurt somebody, you harm somebody or property, right? That's the nature. Right? Cause means is there a valid claim against you? They have to provide all that information, right? How are they making the claim? So that's what that means. Status corrected passport costs the same amount as any other passport. It's just what you're adding into the information when you do the passport application. Doesn't cost any different. So, but yeah. So that's the thing is, by the way, we found out, like, not just from Kevin, but I've seen this with other people. You could do a status correction and keep the driver's license. It's not even an issue as long as if you can get it into the state's information database somehow, right? They'll have it in their system. Like they did that, like New Jersey. I did the passport. New Jersey's like, screw you. We don't care. We love our slaves. You're staying one. And then they had to take me out after all this other crap that happened, right? Then they put something on the information. There's probably like 20 different status corrections. So you can do many, many different types. We're not going to get into them all now because I got to run. But guys, I did talk about it in my, it's on my Rumble channel. There's a few of them. Here, I'll share this too in here with you guys. But yeah. Because we're going to have a lot of more status correction stuff inside of here. There's going to be more stuff going on there. So, hope to see you guys over there. We'll have some fun. We're going to have some other meetings there too, but what's that? I heard somebody.
Hey, Joe, while you're looking that up, can I ask you a quick question? Easy one, I think.
Yeah.
Because I get this a lot from everyone in my world, and not that I have a big circle. It's just I have lucky enough to everyone has an input on my life. But everyone's like, is it worth all this bullshit paperwork and all this, doing this and doing this? Why don't you just do all these things like normal people and then just discharge anything or go to court and fight it?
It's not bullshit paper. We're rebutting their assumptions.
That's correct. I'm on our team. This is my team. This is my new team that I'm glad I'm a part of. I just feel like the only way I answer to them is like, hey, I've been reading and I've been studying, so I think you need to come on board with me and understand I'm just fighting for our rights. I mean, well, you're just going to go to court more often. You're going to go deal with this more often. I'm like,
yeah. Well, I mean, the only way iron becomes steel is through the fire, right?
Absolutely.
So, but look, there is an end point. Like, like there's a point where you go through all this stuff, and at the end, like everything becomes pretty calm, quiet. You're not bothered anymore.
You went through 7 months of hell. I recently watched a video on that. Like everyone watching you, follow you and shit. So.
Yeah, and then I got all these jerk offs on Facebook telling me I'm lying and that I'm like, well, would
you literally show everybody the law. You show them everything. I mean, I don't know why they even argue with you. It's not like you're making this shit up. So
yeah. And then people are like, oh, show us the court case or you're lying. And I'm like, I mean, you can go look it up. If you're that invested in wanting to see it, just go look it up. You got my name. It's easy. Just go look it up. I'm in New Jersey. Just look it up. Go look it up. You'll find out. Oh shit, he's not lying. And I showed it inside the school group. I went and showed people. I think it's like meeting 2 or 3, where I went and showed everybody all these court cases for the last like 20 something years I've had to go through for like driving without a license, no registration, no insurance, stupid fucking bullshit charges for this and for that. And then people have the audacity to come on Facebook and be like, he's an agent.
Oh my God, you're the farthest thing from an agent, I swear.
I'm like, I'm an agent. And then, one guy, I had to block the guy last night because he was going off on a tangent about stupid crap. Oh, you're wrong. You're lying to people. You must be one of the feds. I'm like, what the hell? So, and he's got like the little blue check mark. I went and looked at his profile, and he's selling like equity courses. I go,
oh yeah.
All right. I'm like, okay, I see what's going on. I'm
like, that's a clear sign, yeah.
But then I looked at his posts to see what he's talking about, and he's just posting other people's stuff. But you can't comment on any of his posts. He shut all the comments off, so you can't comment. Then he's over here reposting my stuff and then making arguments. I said, oh, he's using me to fluff himself up. So that's why I blocked that guy, because I'm like, if you're going to come in, attack me, be nasty to me, treat me like shit, and then utilize my communication in order to sell your stuff, no, you don't get to do that. You don't get to use me abuse me negatively and then try to use me to make a gain for yourself. That's not how I'm not playing that game. No, no, no.
Yeah, good on
That's-
you.
So
And James, I'm by far not an expert. However, I will say what you were talking about in the question you asked, it's the same thing anybody's ever who started a business has heard. People around you will say, "Oh my gosh, why don't you just get a 9 to 5 like everybody else? Why do you want to go through all that effort? Why do you want to deal with that?" And anything you go to, if you have friends, you want to go to the gym, you're going, "Oh, why do you go through all that?" People want to believe what they want to believe, and the reality is if you do it, they don't want to be convinced if you're right, because if you do it and you're right, then they either have to admit that they're not going to do it or they're going to have to do it, and it's effort that's uncomfortable.
I am 100% agree with you, and I do this shit because it's my right to live as free as possible, and I'm not going to be like Joe always says. No one has the right to tell me how to do things or do. No one's going to tell me what to do. To some degree, like the wife tells you to go do something. Yeah, that's one thing, but I don't
yeah,
know.
well, that's different. That's a mutual.
Yeah, that's different.
That's a
but
mutual agreement.
some
Yeah.
asshole running around just breaking the law telling me you can't do this. It's like, no, bro, that's not gonna fly, dude. I'm tired of that shit.
Yeah, like you and your wife, you guys made an agreement to live your lives together, so you guys got to work together. The fucking government's over here like we determined that you can't do this anymore. Oh, fuck you.
Yeah, exactly.
outta here.
That's what I'm talking. That's where my heart is, my mind is, and that's why I want to learn this stuff.
Yeah.
So
A lot of times it's because they're scared. They don't know it, so they're scared. They don't want to try it. And it takes to go through this and have all the knowledge like that Joe's putting out there. It takes discipline. Like
it does.
You have to want to do it, and you have to want to stick to it, because it's dependent on you as an individual, you as a living being, to want to get through this. And it's up to you to see how far you want to go. He leaves it up to you. The knowledge is there. Take it for what it is. You either do it or you don't. If you fail, it's your fault, but it's there for you.
I'm going with Joe's philosophy. I just want to go until they leave me the fuck alone. I mean, just leave me alone.
It'll pop somewhere. The 4 and 5 course in school usually is where that cracks it. Usually for good. Sometimes it's 2. It depends. Sometimes it's one of those courses in there. The 2 course. Sometimes it's the 4 course. Sometimes it's the 5. For me, it was course number 5 that did it for me. It's actually, I made it 5.1 now. So the 5.1 course is the one that actually cracked the whole thing out. And that's when they were like, phew, no more with this guy. Sometimes it's the courtroom mastery stuff. Because if you just go, I know people who just fight in court until they're like, nope, get this guy off our thing. So it can happen anywhere at any point, but at some point it cracks open.
I would say I give you props, honestly, Joe. I mean, I've been watching YouTube trying to figure this stuff out for years, but it wasn't until I ran into you. I'm sure it was 2 years ago, or I feel like it's been that long, but I've been watching you, or maybe a year ago, whatever. But besides the point, it's just you're teaching it in a way that, or explaining it in a way that makes more sense. Like you're a common dude just like us, and like you've gone through the shit, and now you're helping. And a lot of other people that you listen to, or other people can listen to, is they scream, they yell. It's just, bro, just talk normal.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, I'm gonna head out, but yeah, I appreciate it. I'll see you guys later. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, everybody.
You too.
Let's see what we got here. I'm gonna end that, and I'm gonna end it.